can you come nearer, please, and say the question clearly?
I understand that, technically speaking,
Can you come nearer?
I understand that, technically speaking, according to the Rambam, that the V'hafkarecha kamocha, loving your fellow man, only applies to a fellow Jew, not to a non-Jew. But is that the whole story, or is there more to it than just that? I mean, I guess that's the question. Or is that only one daya, and there's other opinions that are different?
It's not so clear. The Rambam, in Hilchos Avelos, the Rambam brings that one has to visit the sick, participate in burial, and help the poor. He said there's special laws concerning this. One of the laws also is that you must do all these things also to non-Jews. If they're your neighbors, if they're in your environment. Same thing applies to what we have to do to non-Jews. And then he says there are many dinim, the Rabbanan, concerning what and how to do it, but they're all part of the mitzvah of the Torah, Hafkarecha Kamocha. That's one aspect. Then it's also clear from the Rambam in his treatise on Torah Ethics and Psychology, called the 8 chapters, an introduction to Pirkei Avot, that's called he accepts the principle, which is clear in many Mishnayot and Pirkei Avot. Principally, Hillel says, "Have ohev et habriot," all human beings, u'makovan laTorah, which is part of the wider significance of Ahavat Hareach, and it's clear that when he told the non-Jew what the Torah is based on, he was also including non-Jews. You have to love them in a certain manner. And then there's the mission of Rabbi Akiva, who says man was created in the image of God. God is chesed. So it's certainly both in the Guide for the Perplexed and the 8 chapters, the Rambam sets up as a general principle. But the specific aspects of details of fulfilling it as an obligation, and Hashem, that was given to the people of Israel. You can't expect, it's not, for example, it's not included in one of the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, but the Sheva Mitzvot Noach are based on it. There's also the famous Ran. If you look at the introduction to the Shas, the regular Shas, you'll find beforehand there's an introduction to the Gemara by Rabbeinu Nisam, Gaon, the time of Gaonim. So he established a principle that all those principles we know from what he calls let's call it the cultural, or let's call it intellectual, moral principles, that they're all given to all human beings. He proves it from many instances in the Tanakh. That even nations are punished because of transgressions, which are not really part of the technical Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach, as they're analyzed in more detail. But we see that Hashem expects human beings to follow what we call social morality. Any other questions?
Yeah. Didn't the same person, Ramban, say that it's better to live in the middle of a desert than live with a neighbor that's a Rasha?
Yes.
A wicked person. So you have one opposite the other. The Kodesh Book says to go and love your neighbor as yourself, and he said, but if he's not a tzaddik or he's a Rasha, then you should go live in the desert.
Yeah, because we have, let's say, the example of Avraham Avinu, who is the model for all Am Yisrael, for the world, but also particularly Am Yisrael, that when he went on his mission to fulfill the spreading of Emunah in one God in the land of Canaan, so Lot went with him. Lot was his nephew and relative, and Lot attached himself to them. So an argument arose between the shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Abraham. They both had flocks of lambs, sheep, and when the argument arose, so because their flocks they found good pasture in the land of Canaan, and they were spreading. Of course, Abraham was very particular that they should not pasture anywhere where it was not hefker, it belonged to someone else. And Lot's shepherds weren't so particular, and then arguments arose, and Lot, in fact, so he suggested, let's not not be an argument between us. Let's separate to different places. There's enough places here in the area for both our flocks. You've got different laws, wasn't so particular. You learned from Avraham Avinu the principle of chesed, but nevertheless, not so particular, or the shepherds weren't so particular about all the precautions not to take where there might be ownership of someone else. He poured it on my life, so there shouldn't be an argument between us. So Lot saw the Kikar Yard, then he went to the Fertile Crescent, which was the area of Sodom and Amorah, and joined their society. In other words, here we have the principle, it's the first time you have it in the Chumash, but it's mentioned afterwards as well, that when you come into Canaan, you've got to be very careful, don't follow, and don't, in other words, also don't be near those areas where there's this terrible and corrupt society of idolatry and of sexual corruption and of cruelty, so worship of Moloch and other things like that, keep away. Because when you're living in such an environment and you're not able to influence them to change, then it's better go somewhere else. If you can influence them to change, fine. But if you can't, you've got, it's true. You can let's put it in the point of contradiction. This is a contradiction. Go back to Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu took into his tent idolaters. Even his tent, because he didn't really have children. So, and he and Sarah working all the time to go and change them. And he, as I say, he had an idolater who came and stayed in his house, and he kept on asking them after a time. Some of them, they thanked Avraham, he gives you shelter, he gives you food and everything. I have to thank you, so Avraham said, don't thank me, no, I'm sorry. You've got to thank the one who gives me all these things. Give me food, give me shelter, so I can give to you. But there was one who was there for a long time, and he insisted constantly, even doing worship to his idol. So Avraham said, I'm sorry, I don't, because here you're even disturbing my work with the others who come here. I can't keep you anymore. Find yourself another place. So Hashem appeared to him and told him, he just said, if I keep him in this world, what right have you to go and tell him to leave your tent? If I keep him in this world, it means that he still has a chance to do teshuvah. Yeah? So that's a contradiction, you might say, to the situation with Lot. Yeah? But no contradiction. There's all different types of situations where you have to apply protection of your level, of your own level. You shouldn't be influenced. Instead of, sometimes it happens in the Kiruv world today as well. You see this quite often from Rav Dessler. Rav Dessler was called a great spiritual power, and he, in the middle of the war, he made a kollel. And there were probably many of the members of the kollel, even other people afterwards who followed him, who said, you know, in such a time, surely should go out and do kiruv work, and you can get a position that way. Go and have an easier panasah. Go and be a rav somewhere, even if you're not, if you've learned a few years in yeshiva, become a Rav. But he only suggests people should become Rabbonim, but they're strong, very strong. But many some never. It's like also today, in Rosh Yeshiva, they say to the Talmidim, don't you go to take a position of Rabbonos? You go, so why do you want to go to Rabbonos? So two reasons. One reason is giving easier parnosa, easier livelihood. And secondly, I can, as I discussed in the other shurim, I can do more, I feel, to go and spread Torah, teach others. So Rav Dessler was the one, when they could do it, he was the first one to send them out and do it. He was sure that they were strong enough. But if not, it's like the mission in Pirkei Avos. It all deals with this question that Rabbi Yosef said like this, that somebody offered him, said, even if they offered me a position somewhere else, he said, even if they offer me $1 million or something, a very large amount, any guy, everyone going to live in a place of Torah. That was his policy. It's one of his motto. I only live in a place of Torah. Now that doesn't mean, why does he say even they give a lot of money? The more money they give, probably, the more they want a Rav who makes it easy for them. And they won't want to lay down the law. So you've got to weigh up all these things in each situation. So it says that when the Rambam says a person is easily influenced by society, and therefore if he lives amongst wicked, even if originally he is a saintly person, he will quickly become influenced by society. A person needs society. So if they've got to go with the Chabura, you can't go, if you want to do Chiruv, don't go by yourself, you've got to go with a group. I mean, even Havi Allah may say, make sure first you have a minyan of Shomer Shabbos to be able to create a shul. But if you don't have a minyan of Shomer Shabbos, and there's a lot of questions whether you can, you miss out on Amida, miss out on many dinim where you require the tzibur. So you've got to take the right balance in each situation. Any other questions on this subject? Yes.
If somebody throws garbage on the street, is transgressing this commandment?
It's a matter. A person throws garbage in the street, is a matter. People can slip on it, or people can, by the garbage, become ill.
Is it Muslim?
Huh?
It's even worse.
Huh?
It's even worse than loving your fellow.
Yes, you're mazik. It's even worse. It's going against the principles of having consideration for other people. What harm you doing to them? So I would like, since we've spoken also about the way love is expressed through Sema Ufishtim, so this concept is followed through by Gaon of Vilna in such a beautiful fashion, in connection with the last chapter of the Book of Proverbs. The Book of Proverbs is nearly all the verses, you can understand them as a straightforward Musa, or straightforward, let's say, Eshet Chayil, praise of a wife. It's a fantastic praise of a wife. The sages applied to read the whole of it to sorrow. In the Midrash Mishlei says the whole of Eshet Chayil goes also on the first mother of Am Yisrael, Sarah Imenu, in a certain way. But there's also it's all Mishalim. In fact, there's one pasuk which says, like a silver network which surrounds a golden jewel, so are the words of the sages, the words of wisdom, that on the surface it looks like silver. If you look close, you see the gold inside. That's the concept of Mishlei. And even Rashi brings this, in the whole of Mishlei, there's a lot about the evil woman and the good woman. The evil woman is the life concept based upon idolatry and corruption and fulfillment of the evil aspect, materialistic aspect of the human being. And the gold is a deeper message. So therefore the good woman is the life of Torah, and the evil woman is the life which is anti-Torah. So he applies this to Eshet Chayil. Sometimes you know, why should Bachman say Eshet Chayil? We're looking forward to have such a wife, maybe. But also because of the mashal for Nimshal. So I want to just briefly do with you, if you can turn to it in Mishlei, you can have either in a Siddur, you find Eshet Chayil, or you find the 31st chapter, the last chapter of the book of Proverbs, the Jerusalem Bible. So I'll tell you briefly what he said, because it's also connected with the Omer period. Now, we all know the Omer period is a period of a person from reaching from, let's say, from the animalistic level to the human level, from the barley offering to the wheat offering, animal fodder to the food for humans. So therefore, it teaches us how to develop our good moral qualities, which is also referred to in Pirkei Avot in the 48 ways in which the Torah could be acquired. And as we saw Salanta following the Vilna Gaon really, and earlier sources, says that each day corresponds to one of the qualities which human beings should develop to acquire the Torah. To come from ignorance of Torah, get out of Egypt, to accepting the full Torah and unity, also Am Yisrael, on Shavuos. So this is the, if you look in the Eshet Chayil, which begins from chapter 31, verse 10. Eshet Chayil mi yimtzah. So this is the comment of the Gaon of Vilna. It says that Batach Pele Bala, who can find a woman of valor? Chayal has the numerical value of 48. So it refers to all the 48 qualities where Bible can acquire the Torah. So he adds something else. The second verse says, Botach Pele Bala, the heart of the husband has trust in her, V'shalal lo yechsar, and he does not lack the highest spoil, literally, the highest wealth, spiritual, moral wealth. So the comment of the Gaon is that there's this is the secret of positive commandments. Botach po. So he says, the Leiv Bala is a reference to 248 limbs of the body, Bala, which is a reference to 248 mitzvot. And they refer, Botach Pele Bala, refer to the mitzvot asay, the positive commandments of the Torah, whereby a person acquired the Torah. Shalal is reference to the negative prohibitions. It says about Shavita Shivyo is the sword of Maimon Arot. It also lies behind 365 prohibitions. This is the stormy sea that takes a person away from Torah if you don't keep away. Shalal is Mishchu. It's a reference 365 days of the year minus one, which is the numerical value of Mishchu, because there's one day when the evil power is hidden. That's the day of Yom Kippur. Also corresponds to, it said the Satan is 364, so there's one day where the Satan has no power on Yom Kippur. And then he says, Bota Bole Bala, he goes further. Who is the Tam Chacham, the sages say? A person who can change his main cloak and put it on inside out. That's the Tam Chacham. Very cryptic saying. I mean, a Tam Chacham might be so absent-minded sometimes, so much in the learning, that he puts his jacket on inside out. Can't happen. Or his shirt. Still, all these statements have a deeper significance. The Gaon of Vilna says this. What is the cloak of a person? It's his garments. The garments are called midot, the Chumash. We read it in last week's Parsha also. Malavash HaKohen, midovat, the Kohen, he puts on his garment made to measure, midot. The sage also say, the garments of the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol, have deep significance spiritually. Sages say, the garments bring atonement. Because the garments are here referred to as the different moral qualities a person has and how he can use them for good. So it says, therefore the garment referred to by the sages of the Talmud Chacham, he's got to have the ability to transform his garments from one type to the other. The Gaon uses this to explain in Bereshit, but the test of the Akedah, it says, Ata yadati kirei klimata. I mean, it's difficult to understand. Hashem knew Abraham, he said, it said already in previous Psukim, he knew it so close to Hashem. He knew he was a man of chesed. He loved Abraham, and Abraham loved him. He gave him the test of the Akedah. They said, only now I know that you're God-fearing. What do you mean? The person loves Hashem like Abraham, obviously is God-fearing. I mean, God-fearing comes before loving. It's a lower stage. Even the Rambam implies it in the Mishneh Torah, when it speaks about the mitzvah of loving Hashem and fearing Hashem. So it says, loving is greater than fearing. So if Avraham Avinu certainly feared Hashem, he had to go through the Akedah that only now Hashem knows. After that, before I didn't know. This is a question all the Mephoshim ask. Why it makes such a test? Very difficult test. If certainly demonstrated that Avraham loved Hashem, but he wants to fear Hashem, obviously. Why only Ata? He knew that years before. So the Gaon gives this explanation. The mid of Avraham was love on the highest level. And sometimes look, what Hashem asked Avraham to do was anti-love. Because he was a lover of man, even though Avraham Avraham Avinu loved human beings, he loved Hashem very much, therefore also loved all the creatures of Hashem in every way. And therefore to go and kill his son was anti-love. He wanted to see if Avraham Avinu could change over his garment, put it inside out. If he could, if necessary, Hashem tells him to do it, that he would be able to do something very extremely cruel, the most cruel thing you can imagine, against which he had preached and taught all his life. Now Hashem asked him to do the opposite. So it means he had to do everything, not because he felt the love, because Hashem commanded it. And sometimes Hashem commands a person to do that. It's a big test. Therefore, now I know that you were ready to go and do such an action, to kill your own son, bring him an offering, that you also, when I command it, which proves that your love for me has no selfish aspect attached to it at all. It's entirely bound up with recognizing that everything comes from God, which is the highest level. So therefore he says like this, the Talmud Chacham even says this, the midot of a person are his garment. That's why it's called midot on the Chumil. Akacha ben midovad. And it's midot kemidato. According to the midah that Hashem gives you, have a model. So it brings here, Shema Yisrael is b'chol ma'odecha. How do you love Hashem b'chol ma'odecha? So the Brisa said, Mishnah said, you've got to love him, begin with brachos. Whatever quality he gives to you, you've got to thank him. Whatever Hashem takes away, it brings death to your children. Or it brings death to a lot of Jews. It's very difficult. God is so good, but he allows death to so many Jews. And this question is, of course, what happened with Avraham Avinu, and what's said there in the Shema, V'afta b'chol modecha, b'chol midah. You still got to say, Dayana Emet. Hashem knows best what's good for every person, and for every nation, and for every million Israel. If Hashem takes away 1 million innocent children, you've got to be on the level to give thanks to it. It's very difficult, but that's the test. And the test is also when there's such tragedies, you've got to be willing to recognize that Dynamics, he knows the truth. And the Gemara which asked, obviously you've got to thank him. So what's it come for? Gemara says, you've got to learn to be Mekabel Yisurim Ba'ava. You suffer, Hashem allows the suffering, whatever it is, you've got to learn to accept them in love, which is very difficult. But that's the test, whereby we purify our attachment to Hashem. So he said, any tzaddik ba'aretz, there's no saint in the world who always does good and never sins. And therefore, he's punished for his sins. But the Talmud Chacham, if he sees he has made a mistake in something which is not so moral, immediately he's able to turn over his midah, because the Torah gives you the power to activate all your qualities for the good. That's right. Pirkei Avot ends with the statement of Hillel, Ben Bakbak. What did Ben Bakbak say? At the end of Pirkei Avot, the statement of Hillel, the Talmud of Hillel. Some say it was the Talmud who only wants to accept the written Torah. The non-Jew came to Hillel, only will accept the written Torah. So Hillel said, okay, come for your first lesson. First lesson, you didn't know Hebrew. You only knew Greek or Latin. So that taught him the Aleph Beis, like the head teacher does, Aleph Beis. She gave him the order, Aleph Beis Gimel. The first lesson. Second lesson, he started from the end. He reversed the Aleph Beis. He did Atbashase. Tov Shin Reish Kuf Tashrag. He said, you could read it the other way. Tashrag. From the last one. So he said to him, you're supposed to be the greatest teacher of Israel, and you're teaching me Hebrew in this manner? Confuse me. What's the right order? Which is the right order? Tell me. Why one day you one order, the next day it's the second order? So he had said to him, well, now you see, even to read the written Torah, you have to have a teacher. You can't read even the letters properly unless you have a teacher. And the teacher's got to teach you things in the right order. You're quite right. But now you see, you need the oral teaching to read the letters, to read the words, to know how the words fit sentences, how to vocalize the letters, because that was an oral tradition, how to divide the sentences, and to find out the meaning. Without oral tradition, you can't approach the written text. You know nothing. You won't know what the letters are. But he says here something deeper. He says, Ben Bagbag, although I want to tell you, so some say it was the Talmud of Hillel, quoting Pirkei, and he took the name, how he became a Jew. Abag. I am a Ben Abag Abag. I'm a son of the Aleph Beis. I became a Jew through learning the Aleph Beis Gimel. And that's called syncopation in linguistics. The Aleph is often dropped from regular speech. Ben Abag became Ben Bagbag. And what did Bagbag say? Half of the Kulabab. Turn everything backwards and forward, inside out, then you find everything in the Torah. And never go away from the Torah. The Torah gives you such wisdom. So, he says, so look, this is Vilna Gaon goes much deeper in Midot. He says, it teaches us how to heal the contradictions in your life, and the tests in your life, and the troubles in your life. Healing, you can say healing the soul like healing the body. You have to heal it. And you know, the Rambam uses this constantly. Teachers of Torah are spiritual healers. How do you heal? Heal through the power of antidotes. In the body, the whole body is based on this, and becoming more and more understandable as medical science increases. You've got against the negative bacterial antibodies. You work against them. And the balance always has to be correct, not too much, not too little. Even today, you see, if you have a blood test, they give you, for every different aspect of the health of the body, they'll give you, if it's above or below, it indicates a wrong balance of every part of the body, all the different external limbs and all the inner fluids, also the inner nervous system. You've always got to have the right balance. Also, we know in health what if a person eats too much or eats too little, he gets ill. You've got to have the right balance that suits him. And if he finds himself getting very thin, he better start changing his diet. If he finds himself to be very fat, he better work hard and do more exercise. Very important. If he doesn't do it, he'll get more and more sick. He carries on eating this lifestyle, not doing activity, and everything. So it says there that everything, you've got to go in the right balance, and if you've gone off too much or too little, then go and do the opposite. So the middle also, all the qualities, you've got to turn them from one extreme to the other frequently. So the beginning of all evil qualities, he says, are the qualities of tava, of physical desires, which bring a person to all the evil qualities of the world. That's why the Gemara says, at the head of all sicknesses is blood, the blood. The blood is that which brings to the whole body the physical desires. It says the Chumash, Kisavin, you want to eat meat? So the phrase is used, Kisavin nafshcha lechol basar. I mean, meat, especially, we know those who eat a lot of meat, they become bloodthirsty, can do so, love of meat. And it certainly makes people increase their desire for more and more food, and also strengthens other instincts. Says as far as the food is said that's the phrase used, that the meat consumption originally given to Am Yisrael was to be connected with the Beit HaMikdash. And even today, Shchitat Chulin, so we're given permission to eat the meat, but the meat has to be to some extent sanctified. So the bracha, which the Shochet says on the way he prepares the meat. And then there are all sorts of other dinim concerning making the meat kosher, and through the salting of the meat to reduce the amount of blood that is consumed. Certain parts of animals should not be eaten at all. So many animals can't be eaten. So only those that don't have to transfer a strength of the more damaging parts, spiritually speaking, that some animals, also some birds, have in their nature. So that's what you have to reduce. And then it says, at the head of all healing things, am I wine. But which wine? Yena Doraisa, the wine of Torah. The wine of Torah, which means the joy one feels in immersing one's mind and emotions in Torah learning. That is an elixir of life. Okay, I have to stop here. But he goes right through Eshet Chayil with a fantastic description of the way in which, through the middle of Torah, Nidreshet Behen, you can thereby have a different outlook on physical life, being all subjected to spiritual life. Okay.
Stop.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
I recently heard of someone that passed away that was in this yeshiva. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Yeshua David from Canada.
Yeah.
You heard about it. There's a practical thing that I have to tell someone wants his phone number because he owes him money. So must I tell him he passed away? Sorry,
I'll tell you what we can do now. See, this lady came here. We thought originally, what myself, They phoned to Yeshua David, which was impossible. And
You phoned? What?
with Yeshua.
Oh, the Canada. Which one?
The two.
There's two Yeshua
One's-
Davids.
no,
One's big and
No,
one's thin.
no, one's Yeshua David, the other one's called Yeshua Avram.
Oh, that's the Yeshua Avram is the big one. So Yeshua David passed away.
Yes. So Yeshua David, he was a pilot.
He was a pilot, a medic. He had a lot of. He was a jack of all trades.
Yes. And okay, I think it may have been, could be. We didn't. I don't think anybody in the Shiva thought that he took drugs, or maybe he did. Medication.
No, we all knew he took drugs.
You did know?
Yeah. Well, he didn't say it like up front, but he was always telling us how the Portuguese have got a good system about drugs. They haven't criminalized it, they haven't legalized it, they've done something in between and it works for them, and they can be an example to the whole world. He was telling that a bit too much, and I thought, yeah, for sure sometimes he even said,
He was clever. He was quite clever.
very, yeah, more than, not only clever, socialite, social mingler. He could, the families loved him. They asked about him.
Who did?
I say the families love him.
Yeah.
They ask about him.
Yes.
Where that's not a practical thing to tell them, but when someone owes someone money, then it's more practical. So I say,
Well, anyway, what happened? I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Last week. There's a lady who came to the Shiva with her son from Toronto, and she knows, she apparently knows of the family, and we talked most of the time about Yeshua Avram, because we were a bit confused.
You spoke about the wrong person.
Yes, but her son lives here in Hanover. The son came with her. It's only 2 days. And I tried to reach her. I took down her mobile, and I think also the code, email code. I'll give it to you. Maybe you can reach the son. And she's the one.
The son of who?
There's a son who lives here, and his mother lives in Toronto, and his mother knows the mother of the one who apparently lost his life. And she was going to find out more about it. So did we, the Shiva, cause him problems? So I don't think anybody Shiva caused him problems. I mean, as far as I knew him, he was a bright participant in the Shurim, that I remember.
The only problem that I can think of is borrowing him money so he can get out of here. Maybe that's the only problem we can think of. maybe that's the only crime we're guilty of giving him money. And we didn't even do that. Someone else outside of the yeshiva did that. Somebody outside the gym gave him money to go overseas.
Yes.
He was complaining that he's got a child overseas. He's in debt. We're talking about Yeshua David now. Who gave him money?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who gave him money, but I know who helped him to get the money.
Yeah.
And there was some guy Martin Hakablan, but I know the family that helped him to connect with the person that gave him money, or he.
Okay, so then
he represented it.
So you go and phone up or send an email to this lady. I'll give you.